So now let's see if we can actually create an account, because as you see here, we were able to create manually the account, right? So the idea is to create a user, an account in this case, using our web app. That means then we have to go to the create account form. So if you don't have this open, all you can do actually, let me get rid of that. You can use the Command P and just start searching for create. And you can see all these different files that we can open there. So you can go up and down and hit there to open the create account. Pretty neat. All right, so the create account, let's go and find the validation. Everything is good here. And let's find where there we go. That's where the validation is all good, meaning that our form is valid. Then here we can create that account. All right, so we're going to say Firebase auth, get that instance, and I'm going to say dot create. I'm going to use this method create user with email and password, a long wordy function name. That's fine. And we have to pass an email. Well, the email is going to be, I'm going to say email underscore email context, the text like that. And the password is going to be the same thing, password. There we go, that is, and retrieve the text like that. Okay, let's save, make sure that we have our semicolon there. All right, just like what we had before, we're going to use the then, say then, right? If all goes well, for now, I'm just going to go ahead and print the value that we get here. Now, if you hover over, let's see what kind of value we get. So let's hover over. It's still, again, the user credential type, okay, which is a Firebase auth type. And say value dot get the user, right, that we just created. And I'm just going to go ahead and get that email. Okay, that's what we're going to be using. And let's finish with semicolon like that. All right, let's save this and see if this works. All right, let's continue this process here. And instead of sign in, we want to create account. All right, moment of truth. I'm going to actually say john@me.com. I'm going to say tester, or just add any password. Say create. Nothing happens here, but let's go here inside of our book tracker app on Firebase. We're going to go ahead and refresh. And you can see John was created. Very good. So we have john.me, and he was created fine. And if we go back to our code here, if we open our terminal, we should see hopefully that indeed john.me was created, and that's why you can see at the bottom say john.me, because we said once we have received the value when this creation has happened, this create user with email and password, the user was created, we're just going to go ahead and return, in this case, and print the email that was just created. And as you can see, there it is. All right, so we're able to create accounts, as you see. This is really great because now having accounts, that means we can do all sorts of things. Number one, as we said before, we're going to be able to log in that user, or user will be able to log in themselves using the credentials, right? And also we're going to be able to control which user is using the app right now, which will allow for some customized experience for the user, right? Because you wouldn't want to have an app or a web app that everybody shows up and sees the same thing, right? In this case, everybody who is going to create an account, they'll be logged in, they will have their own app, web app per se, right? Where they can search and add books and read books, add notes, and reviews, and all sort of things. Okay, so this is part of the authentication and authorizing users who are able or not to use this app. Okay, very good. Now, the main thing that actually needs to happen here is as follows. The moment that the user or this person has created successfully an account, we want to take them to the next page. It makes sense. You create an account, everything is good. We want to push you to the next page. And so that's when this comes in handy, this then promise that tells us exactly what we are going to receive once this transaction is successful. In this case, it is successful. We want to take them to the next page because they are authorized user. So the first thing I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to click on this arrow here function, right? And say command period again. And I'm going to convert this to a block body, which means I want this to have curly braces like this because there's more code that we want to add there. But since the user has been created, it doesn't mean that the user is logged in, right? That means then we need to come here and do the same thing we did before, which is Firebase again, instantiate Firebase instance. So .sign in with email. Let's find that and password. Okay, it makes sense. So in this case here, I'm going to go ahead and pass again that email. So I'm going to say email.text right? And the password is going to be the same thing. So same thing we did before. That text like that. Make sure, oops. Yes, we know. Let's put a semicolon like this. Okay, so we have that. And because we have this sign in with email, which is also a future, that means we can invoke the then promise here. So then again, we have that value. In this case, I'm going to do the same thing, command period, to convert this into block body. Okay, like that. Finish with semicolon. And so what do we need to return when all this is done, right? So again, we are going to create the user. And then once the user is created, we are going to automatically sign the user in. And once the user is signed in, that's when we're going to push them to the next page, right? So I'm going to return a navigator and say push like this. And here I'm going to pass a builder, and then I'm going to say material page route. And let's load and see. I'm going to return, in this case, something. What is that we're going to return? Well, I'm going to return the next page. In this case, going to be the main screen. Call this page 2. That's fine, which we haven't created. Okay, makes sense. So it's very simple. We create a user. Once we've created a user, of course, we're going through the then promise method there because this is a future, right? We go back through the instance of Firebase Auth. We sign this user because this person already exists in our backend database, right? So we sign them in, and then once they're signed in, we're going to open the main screen page, which we haven't created yet. That's the logic. So this logic here, in fact, it's going to be the same logic that we're going to use for, let me just copy all of this return there, and go back to our login page, remember? In fact, login form. So this is what we're going to do again here. So I'm going to change this to convert to block and get rid of this and paste it all in. In this case, I don't need this return. So let's go ahead and create this main screen somewhere. Let's go back, open screens. I'm just gonna create a new file. Call this main screen.dart, stateful or stateless widget. That's fine for now. Main screen page. Let's go ahead and import material. And there we have it. And I'm going just to say material here. Just have something for the child. I'm going to say center and just put text that says hello world. All right, just something for now so we have it. Okay, in this case, we're just going to go ahead and import that package as well as when we are inside of our create account. Okay, save everything. Let's check this out. I'm going to use john.me.com tester. If all goes well, we should go to some page. There we go. Hello world, and it's working because John indeed was validated and he exists. Therefore, we were able to take this user to this hello world page.